Hi guys, it's me, Simply Sheeta. I am back, and today is day 11 post-op VSG, and I wanted to come to you guys today just to give you some information about how I've been doing and to help anyone under who might be going through the journey know how I survived my first 10 days post-op. So stay tuned. Okay guys, so I am going to keep it real simple and real sweet. When I say that these first 10 days have been a trip, they have truly been a trip. Some in a good way, some in a bad way, but you know, my point of this video is to discuss how it's going for me. As you notice, I said how I survived the first 10 days, not how to survive, because as we know, people on the internet tend to be very sensitive and like to be argumentative because everybody has a different opinion or an idea of how things should be. So again, this is how I survived my first 10 days post-op VSG. And you guys know this book, my blah 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 book. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here reading out some of the things that I've been jotting down during the course of the week, just to give you guys a general idea. There is no particular order, meaning nothing is any more important than anything else. These are just things that I've jotted down. Number one, definitely get some help those first few days. The first day 1 through day 3, I really believe my daughter's help was crucial, because during those first couple of days, it is hard to do anything. You know, your core, you rely on your core, your stomach muscle, your core for so much, standing and sitting and, you know, getting up from the toilet and the tub, the whole nine. If you are able to have someone help you during those first couple of days, you know, please do so. I know there are people that have done it by themselves. Me personally, having my daughter there to help me stay on schedule with my medicine, to help me get around, I feel like those days were vital to have her there, because I can't imagine, you know, not having her there. I also had a nurse come in a couple of days, so if you're not able to, you know, if you don't have a family member or someone, at least try to get a nurse or someone to come in and help, because it definitely is rough those first few days moving around with your core muscles, you know, being basically in pain from incisions. Speaking of which, one of the other things that I did is I stopped being Winnie the Pooh. I know you guys are like, Winnie the Pooh, what do you mean? You know how Winnie the Pooh walks around and he just basically has on the shirt? Well, that was me. You know, when you think about it, from the moment that you go into the hospital to have surgery up until, you know, you decide, you are pretty much bottomless. For me, I stayed bottomless for the first probably like 2 to 3 days. You know, you guys know I was in the hospital for 2 days, so I wore underwear home. But even after coming home, I remember for maybe a day or two, I did not wear underwear. I was just walking around like Free Willy, you know, just a nightgown, that type of thing. Because, you know, I had to go to the bathroom. I didn't want to have to bend down and pull underwear down and all of that. I was in my own home. In the hospital, I was, you know, in the hospital. But at my own home, I just felt it was more comfortable. But what I realized after a couple of days is, because I have a large belly, I have a jelly belly, meaning it moves around. It really was uncomfortable. It felt better for me just to have on some underwear, tights, or you know, like a compression tee, something to make my stomach not move around as much. You know, boy shorts and bikini panties and all of that, save that. Just save all that for later. Get your granny panties out. That's going to cover your stomach, because it definitely will help keep that area still in the early parts of healing. One of the other things that I had to learn, and I realized, is I had to realize how my body is working with protein. Now, you guys know, and everybody knows, Premier Protein is the protein I bought. I had the sample pack myself. I am so glad that I did not have to do the liquid pre-op, which probably would have tempted me to do like many people, buy a bunch of it, end up getting stuck with it, because there's so many people that can't tolerate the taste afterwards and complain that they don't like it. But because I wasn't on that kind of diet, I basically did not have anything to compare it to have the aversion post-op. But after about maybe 4 to 5 days post-op, I just couldn't anymore, guys. It just was, first of all, I felt like it was giving me bubble gut. And it just did not sit well in my stomach. It became difficult to get my protein in. So I ended up getting me some Gene Pro, which I highly recommend to anybody that is having a difficult time getting their protein in. This stuff is saving me, because what I have here is basically a bottle of water with 1 scoop of that Gene Pro and Crystal Light. And my daughter have made me tons and tons of bottles of these. I've added this to chicken broth. It's really a great product. I know a lot of people talk about this on Instagram. There's one guy in particular that really started talking about it to the point that he got an endorsement deal from them, of sorts. And I had already known I was going to like try to add it to my list. But what makes them so great is the little scoop. This is a very, very, and I'll put my hand up so you guys can see how small it is. By comparison to other protein, anybody that is using protein powders for their protein drinks, no, this is like very small. This small, tiny scoop mixed with water and my Crystal Light, mixed with my Crystal Light iced tea, my Crystal Light strawberries I like. I'm so grateful that I didn't, come out of surgery not liking them. Is perfect. It's perfect. And even if it is a little sweet, I just add water. So, if you're having a problem getting your protein in, you might want to invest in that. It is flavorless. It is taste. People say, oh, well, I still can taste. By comparison, like really, I taste Crystal Light. I taste my soup. I do not feel like that is something that is altering the taste to the point that I can't take it. And until I can eat my protein, that is going to be my friend and continue to be my friend. So, make sure that you find what protein works for you. One of the other things, guys, that I found has been very crucial to surviving these first 10 days is self-love. I always say, you gotta love yourself more. And for me, that meant I had to pretty much cut my telephone off, come off of social media, and allow myself the mental space that I needed to heal. I had to let people, wait and wonder. I remember being in the hospital and cutting my phone on at one point, and guys, I had like 63 text messages. I'm like, what the? 63 text messages. It just blew my mind. And most of the messages, a lot of the messages were from coworkers, how you doing, or how you coming along. And I don't think that people realize the veracity of what you're going through. They don't. And personally, in my case, I think there were just some people that wanted to be able to say, oh, I talked to her first. The same way I have a couple of people that I work with that have told me, okay, not asked me, but they've told me, oh, we're going to pop up and come and see you. No, the hell you not. You pop up here, you will be standing out there at that door. And you guys know, like, I don't play when it comes to my personal space. I do not appreciate people forcing themselves upon me. I don't like it. And I know there were probably some people that were kind of peeved off at the fact that I did not respond to their text. But hey, my journey, my rules. I'm not going to be putting myself in a position to do anything that I don't want to do. And those first few days, I needed to heal. I needed to rest. I didn't really have anything to say to anybody, but I'm doing okay. I'm coming along. People don't really want to know the details. They really don't. They want to see that you survived the surgery and see what you look like when it's all said and done, and then watch everything that you do after the fact, because of course some want to see you fail, some want to see you succeed. But whatever. Bottom line, my journey, my rules. I talked to who I wanted to when I was ready, and I really haven't talked to anybody. I think I finally text people back. I had even cut and copied some a general response to some people. And it probably was maybe Friday when I decided to start doing that. Like, I had my phone on, actually started responding to some of those text messages, but I did not allow anyone to force me to move quicker than I was ready to move. Another way that I have managed to stay out of the hospital and out of the possibility of being dehydrated is I've set goals each day. This is something else that was crucial to my survival of the first 10 days. So every day, that is my main goal, to stay hydrated, stay out of the hospital. But also, it was little things. Maybe after the first 4 days, it was take a shower, and be up and ready when my daughter was ready to start helping me do things that I had to do, giving her less to do. And then one day it was just getting out and walking my dogs. So I know in the morning I feel a little janky, and by that I mean like a little lightheaded, like not quite myself. So I at least try to finish one of these before she wakes up, because I wake up fairly early, so at least I'm moving around by the time she gets up and she starts doing things like giving me shots and medicine, and we moving around through the course of the day. So setting goals, I think, is truly important, and it makes you feel like you're progressing. It really helped me feel like I was moving quite along. The other thing that I'm learning is how to think of nutrition in a completely different way than I did before. I don't know if you guys, in my last video, I talked about eating sugar-free Rita Waters rice, and how, because I have this thing for cold, I love to drink and have cold things. The Rita's water rice, I realized, was kind of a pointless thing to do when I was not meeting my goals. Point blank, you're my tool, my sleeve. Her name is Holly Golightly, by the way. Holly Golightly pretty much is like Aladdin, when Genie says, great cosmic power, but teeny weeny little bit in space. Yeah, that's Holly Golightly. Holly Golightly, guys, she is very ambitious, but she is not made for her ambition. Okay, not right now. So it's kind of like if you were to have an efficiency apartment, you wouldn't move a piano into an efficiency apartment knowing that you still need, a bed, a table, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing with getting in my protein, my fluids, and my nutrition. I had to stop with the water rice simply because when you start to take your sips and you start to really recognize your restriction working, and you start to really feel it, like the tightening, that means you've done too much. And when you do too much, you gotta wait. If I sip too fast, if I sip too big, I gotta wait until that passes before I can have my next sip, or try my next attempt at protein. So I don't have room for water rice. I do still need to take some of my medications crushed. So I started to opt towards the chocolate pudding, because at least it has some protein in it, or applesauce because it's recommended. But yesterday was the first time since I made the week earlier video, and I was talking about the sugar-free water rice, that I actually had some as a treat towards the end of my night. And that's also because I know I was low on my goals for my fluids yesterday. Because the way I pretty much see it, 2 of these is going to give me my protein. There are somewhere around 30 grams of protein in the Gen Pro. So 2 of these are going to give me my protein. 3 of these are going to give me my fluids and protein. Actually, it's going to exceed my protein because I'll be at 90 grams of protein, and it will definitely give me my fluids. Well, yesterday I had chicken broth. I wanted to try the Gen Pro with the chicken broth. So I got my protein, but I got nowhere near as much fluids because the chicken broth I did not, I think I've only drank like maybe throughout the course of the day. It was like 6 ounces of that. So you learn to pick your poisons or your proteins, and you know, you learn to, I'm learning to figure out the importance of nutrition. Like I try, even though I feel as though I need to, I try not to drink just water. You know, I feel like last night I felt a need to just have water because I was thirsty. Like I can tell I need some water, but if I'm going to drink it, and it's to me almost senseless, at least not to have protein in it. You know what I mean? So I'm working to figure that out, and it's actually coming along well. But just one of the ways that you have to work in your first few days. One of the things that you're really working out those first 10 days. And the last thing that I definitely think a success has led to me being able to survive these 10 days is I have been utilizing all of my tools that I had at the hospital. And I actually bought them for you guys to see. It's funny to think now about the whole what I take to the hospital bag, and I was thinking about this when I finally unpacked my bag the other day. I realized there was absolutely nothing in that bag I used outside of one pair of underwear. And I probably could have worn the ones that I wore since I only had them for hours, but who does that? But my point is, the hospital really does provide you with everything, and or you don't have the energy to use anything. I've seen videos where people have taken coloring books and makeup and hair products. You do not feel like messing with any of that stuff. I mean, I guess if you're going far, or if you have kids visiting you, maybe that kind of stuff, like the coloring books and stuff, might actually come in handy. But you're so out of it day 1 and day 2, and your energy and the pain. I just never really used. My bag wasn't even in my room. My daughter ended up taking it with her because she had my cell phone. Like, there are some things, guys, really reevaluate. Like I said, I don't live far from my hospital, so I knew if I needed something. But even with the things that I carry, I definitely did not need them. The only thing that I used was the chapstick. And it was the only thing that I needed. My hospital actually had everything. They had the slipper socks. They had the toothbrushes. I didn't even use my own toothbrush, mouthwash, everything. And of course you get to bring that home. So I say all of that because I think it's important. If you go to a hospital, like I said, this is just me speaking from my experience in my hospital where they had everything. Most of the time, if they don't already have it set up in your room when you're there, you can ask for it and they'll get it for you. But these are 2 things that I made sure I brought home from the hospital that might actually help when you first come home. And this is what I'm going to call a post-op ditty for all the new people that are in the journey that's coming up on surgery. Just little tidbits. This is going to be a post-op ditty. And what I like to do is present one of these in each video, at the end of a video, talking about what I know up until the stage that I am. So you're not going to catch me talking about recipes 6 months post-op at this stage, of course, because I'm only, 11 days. But I'm going to talk about what I know. This thing right here, I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. Anybody that's have a baby and giving babies medication, this thing my nurse gave me, and it helped me when I first started my sipping. One full, the thing that full is kind of equivalent to the size of a sip. So she said, plus you can regulate it. You can actually regulate it. So this actually is something very good that helped. that you may want to make sure you bring home, or ask your nurse if she has extras. I have tons of these that they let me have because this helped as well. Number 2 is one of these tiny, tiny, tiny baby plastic spoons. When I had to first start, doing the applesauce and the medicine, this helped me with keeping a small bite. And you can see by the comparison of my hand how tiny this is. Very great thing to take from the hospital. I've been reusing them. I have tons of these, but my daughter reuses them for everything. So if you guys can get your hands on those, definitely grab those. As well as, this is not something I found in the hospital, but they have the milliliter cups. But if you don't want to take those, or if you didn't get those in your hospital, boom, a regular old shot glass will suffice. This shot glass is actually an Edgar Hawkins shot glass that one of my friends on Instagram in the VSG community sent me. It has measurements for ounцing. It's a 1 ounce. It's a 1 ounce cup, of course, but it also has tablespoons and teaspoons, and this comes in handy with trying to get your ounces of fluids in those first couple of early days, as well as if you have to measure anything like applesauce, or I've used this for quite a few things, but you don't need anything this fancy. If you have a regular old shot glass at home, it will actually do the exact same thing. So just wanted to put those things out to you guys, because again, I want to try to offer information to anyone that might be just starting their post-op journey, and maybe they're only a day or two in. Hopefully that information will help them, or someone that might be going into the hospital to get their surgery this week. If you find that you run into these things, or you can ask your nurse about them. I'm sorry, I really don't know what the name of this thing is, but I'm sure if you say like a baby plunger type, basically for medication, I know that's what it was for when my kids were little, they'll probably figure out what you're talking about, unless they offer it to you. So guys, I'm going to wrap up this video. My energy level is still not where it should be. I'm still sipping this morning, so you're going to have to really excuse how maybe quiet or lethargic I seem in this video, but I really am. So that's it for this week's video. I really truly appreciate all of your support. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. I really would like to tell you guys that this is easy. It hasn't been hard, but it's definitely not easy. I do not have any regrets. I just realized I never gave you guys any stats. Just for shits and giggles. I got back on the scale yesterday out of curiosity, and it looks like I'm down another 3 pounds. It was 292, so I'll put my stats somewhere in here, because I gotta remember now that I'm on the post-op side. People are always going to want to know your stats, but like I said, I'm just getting myself back around and doing things normally. So I will put my stats in the description box, but pretty much I am now up to 15 pounds lost since my surgery, 20 pounds prior to surgery, which gives me a grand total of 35 pounds lost. I'll take that because I can feel it and it feels great. But I will not get back on the scale. I'm not going to be a scale whore. I already decided that's not going to be the best thing for me. I'm not going to be obsessed with it. So I have a follow-up appointment with my doctor on the 19th with my surgeon. That is when I will get weighed, and that is when I will report my next weigh-in. So stay tuned, and thank you for watching. Don't forget, you gotta love yourself more. It's such a really important thing to do, guys. Love yourself more, enough to make your journey your journey. It's going by your rules. I will talk to you guys next Sunday. Bye.
People look at you strange, saying you changed, like you worked that hard to stay the same. Like you're doing all this for a reason.